the version of Linda Scott that you see before you is a high-ranking professor at a famous university and a leading scholar in the movement to empower women economically. I work very hard, I travel the world, and I have the gray hair to prove it. One might say that this is a fairly advanced version of the development of myself. It's a late stage in my journey. In fact, we could call this version 10.0. Linda Scott 10.0. But I'm still learning every day, and mostly by doing things that I've never tried before, but sometimes by helping others try to do things that no one has ever tried before. But as all of us are, I'm like a Russian doll of cells, and inside me there is another self, a long ago self, a 1958 six-year-old self, who stood one day in the gymnasium of a church and looked into the face of an older woman who told me to close my eyes, and then she put her hands on my shoulders and she turned me around, and I heard other people saying, twist me and turn me and show me the out. And she whispered to me to open my eyes, and of course I looked in the water and saw myself. And my friends and I were thrilled to be brownies. Although I must tell you that I was suspicious a little bit of the idea of helping others, especially at home. I thought maybe my mother made that up. But I spent several years in Brownies and Girl Scouts, and I remember particularly that I enjoyed the badges. And in retrospect, I can see that that was because there was enough variety that I could choose the things that appealed to me that I thought maybe I had a talent for. As you might imagine, I was a bookish child, not at all an outdoor type, and I really more or less endured the camping. I have always preferred my toilets to flush. But it was a terrific experience, and I can see in a way now that I couldn't necessarily see as a child, that it was because I was able to not only discover about myself the things that were of value, but I could communicate them to others as I achieved what I chose to achieve. But I could also learn that I could be part of a group, even for those things that I was not all that crazy about doing. And this was a really good thing, and in some ways I think a lot different. The Girl Scouts and Girl Guides have something to offer that many other organizations for girls today don't, in that they do allow for this self-development, this chosen path that girls can have, whereas I think a lot of times these days programs for girls are very much about indoctrination and not about self-development. I think another thing that in retrospect I really appreciate, particularly in light of the work that I'm doing now, is the whole strategy of learning by doing. As much as a professor at Oxford, of course, is going to tell you that it's important to read books and you can learn a lot from books, there are many things that you really cannot learn from books, and one of them is the confidence that comes from action. Another thing is that many of our fears about what we think we cannot do, I think, comes simply from lack of familiarity with the circumstances and the materials of doing. So that the learn by doing strategy that lies underneath the whole idea of badges and progressions, I think is a very, very good strategy for a lot of things. As I grew into my teen self, it was the late 1960s in the United States, and I was part of the generation that wanted to change the world, to make it more inclusive, to make it more peaceful, and to make it more sustainable. And to be honest, in that time and in that space, the Girl Scouts appeared to be part of a conservative era, something that I wanted to distance